Thank you very much, Mr. Covert, in particular because so eloquently picking up on our principal topic of togetherness and reminding us how much more we can actually achieve if we properly cooperate. I can say here at UNIDO we definitely undertake not only substantial efforts, I think these are showing in the meantime substantial results, but now in the same together of course belongs your framing introduction with coming from the scientific background with some concrete questions that I would like now ask to Mrs. Mansour about new business models actually. You can sit, you can come as you wish. About new business models and maybe also how you see circular economy and the work that you are doing, whether that rather accelerates development or slows down. How are your views on this? Thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm quite exhausted because I just came from Copenhagen, from Marrakesh COP 22, and I was also earlier in COP in Copenhagen, and I attended a seminar, or I was a panelist in a panel called "To Be or Not to Be," and I think this question is still lasting. Is it to be or not to be? I'm happy to be here in this room. I was here in 2009 with Sheikh Ibrahim Al-Khalifa from Bahrain talking about circular economy and green economy for the Arab world. I do feel bad about it because had we done the circular economy and green economy for the Arab world, I'm sure we wouldn't have had all those Arab Springs and all those devastation of the Arab area. Circular economy is the maximizing of the usage of products and minimizing the waste as much as it can. This is a trend difficult to implement even here in the EU. I know that some legislations are the problems of recycling like batteries, recycling plastics, and also the cost of recycling the recycled products are not enough to cover the costs. So imagine what it would be like in our part of the developing world. I started as a lover of sustainable development, and the more I read, the more I was originally an interior designer, and I have an architectural company. I built the most beautiful palaces in my country, Egypt, but then looking at the faces of people who needed energy, food, and a better living made me look what would the answer be for finding a solution for them. And I came here to Vienna, how to keep your city clean, and this was the answer. When I went to the gentleman who was in charge of the conference and told him, we have a lot of waste. He said, you're a very rich country, so waste equals wealth. So I went back and studied all the kinds of waste we have and decided to invest my personal money into sustainable development projects. We created a solid waste management company with Mrs. Yusriya Sawiris, who was a partner with Mother Teresa with the Zeppelin in Egypt. And I must say that this is the most zero waste model that anybody can find, and it utilizes, it is not very advanced, it's very basic, but for every time we need to employ 7 people. And then me with her, we decided to make a private sector company. Now we have reached to zero waste in many products like architectural remnants or waste and construction waste. We reached to 95% as a zero waste in that, turning all the architecture and construction waste into pavements, manholes, the plastics, the papers, but we had some problems definitely in the collection of organic and solid waste because of human behavior. I think this is a thing that we should start teaching the schools and teaching people about environment, students when they are young, it's a sort of an education. Another problem that I think we have in the developing world is the governments. They are not aware, like in the parliament. I think all developing countries should have Agenda 21 and their legislations, because up till now we still have to find the Parliament's acceptance to many things. I think Agenda 21 is the easier way for developing countries and for undeveloping countries to implement the circular economy. When I started like 7 years ago about sustainable development and doing my researches, I discovered that with agri-waste, after coming here, I studied the agri-waste. We had a lot of agri-waste in Egypt, around 36 million tons. And I thought, oh, I found the solution. So I went to the government. I thought everybody would, say, wow, we found what we can do. But then it was even harder and harder, because with agri-waste, I also engaged Boston consultants from France. And I told them I found the solution to poverty in our countries. Why don't we change the agri-waste into composting and into renewable energy? So after they made me pay quite a big sum, what our Boston consulting group would be. They told me you can do composting, but you cannot do renewable energy. I said my pharaohs have been doing composting for 4,000 years. So how come I cannot do renewable energy? They said because your country subsidizes energy, and actually Egypt's full money went to subsidies of energy. So you have to pay 100 billion pounds every year in our economy to pay for the energy sector. So they told me what you should be doing is that countries should have governance and encourage people who are doing renewables and give them feed-in tariffs and help them and subsidize the renewable energy. I've been trying to say that since a long time. I haven't succeeded, but I must say now that in Egypt they signed for feed-in tariffs, and I think this is the way to forward, because in Nuba or around the Lake Nasser we have the strongest areas in the world that could generate solar energy. And I think this is highly needed. I took another branch, which is having to have political stability. We must have food security, energy, and food security, energy, and also to improve the lives of the people. And I think this is a common factor in North Africa. So I started studying and investing in researchers about how to, and water is a very important issue also for the North Africa. So I did my own studies, and I have now obtained several patents for biochar machines that reduce the usage of water for desert areas to plant and have food security. And at the same time, biochar has been recommended by the Montreal Protocol to mitigate climate change. So the more I read about it, I felt like I was reading a jigsaw puzzle and the pieces were coming into part. But then having to explain that and talking then about environment at our part of the world, we're thinking that environment is a luxury. They don't know that poverty and environment are two faces of the same coins. So also I invested, and I had my own research center about fertilizers, because we did not have a revolution only for democracy. We had a revolution because chemical fertilizers were very... sorry. Finished?
No. Just slowly towards the finish line.
Okay, slowly or faster?
Maybe faster.
Medium. So the holistic approach I have come up with is doing in the desert areas something called which means entrepreneurial zero-waste eco-villages, where all the agricultural waste is going to be put back again in the soil, and with the biochar, if we do this around North Africa, this will definitely adapt to climate change. But the problem is, where shall we find the money, the partnerships? As I told you, to be or not to be, when I went to Copenhagen 22, I discovered it's a beautiful city, Marrakesh, and the poor Africans are flying left and all going to Paris, but it helps the touristic affairs of the city where they're going. Copenhagen, they all think everybody's going to find the carrot where there is the pop, but it is not there. So I think there must be funds, for green funds, for especially to our parts of North Africa, because although we produce less than 4% as Africa, and Egypt less than 1% of carbon dioxide in the air, but we've been the most affected because we will be inundated So I have been talking, I haven't found a solution yet, where to find those funds, where to create partnerships. I hope that now with the Paris Agreement that there will be more partnerships, and especially from we are the recipients of the industrial revolution. We are not the doers. So with this I will finish my speech.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this strong statement, actually, showing us the perspective of someone who is actually having amazing achievements on the ground and is working